wow. Is my left eyebrow really that much thicker than my right? Lord help me. Okay, so here's my first little get ready with me-esque type of thing. Been wanting to make these for a while and have a whole list of ideas on my phone about what I wanted to do. But I feel like a lot of them are pretty deep and dark, so why not something lighthearted? Because, you know, spooky season is dark enough as it is. So bear with me. I already did my eyebrows and primed my eyelids, and I have no idea what I'm doing for my makeup either. Things go. I mean, I do want to try this loose glitter I got, and I'm still new when it comes to glitters, and I really hope that this ring light is working with me. I haven't used it in so long, since I first started doing my nail stuff, and I have a mess of makeup in front of me. What to talk about first? I'm gonna try and gather my thoughts together. I have a whole list of things that I could talk about, like makeup and mental health, but I think I'm gonna wait until my next therapy appointment next. Instead of that, how about I talk about some of the embarrassing moments I've had with celebrities? If you don't follow my Instagram for these past few years, I have been doing convention work, interviewing and meeting a lot of celebrities, and they're people I really love. Most of the time I don't get starstruck, chat like normal people. But when there's always this rare occasion where I actually do embarrass myself. Like with William Zabka, I was drunk on my 21st birthday at Days of the Dead in 2016. And wow, that was intense. But I made friends with him. He got me a beer, and me being the lightweight that I am, I was slurring around and falling over all over the place. And of course, the director friend that I made, Mary, you should definitely check her out. Her name is Mary C Russel. I will link her Instagram and all of that in the description box. And she was being supportive of me and told me, you know, go say hi to him, go hug him. My uncle, being the supportive uncle he was, said, director's orders, and practically threw me into him. Embarrassing, but also kind of nice, because I feel like with how dumb and drunk I was, if he didn't do that with me, I wouldn't have actually like talked to him, because he was at Days of the Dead in 2016 and I had no idea why, because I thought horror convention. Maybe he's done some horror related things that I don't know about, and I'm too scared to like ask why. But at the same time, I was being a huge fangirl because, you know, I loved his caricature of himself and How I Met Your Mother, and I love him in Cobra Kai and The Karate Kid. Like, he's so much fun to be around, and he hugged me no problem. I was slurring drunk and falling all over the place, and I told him it was my birthday because, well, I was telling everybody it was my birthday because it was my 21st birthday. Who needs Vegas when you can go to a horror convention? And he, being the goofball he is, was so excited to meet me and that I was celebrating with him, that he was just like, oh really? Here's your birthday present, and kissed me on the cheek. I was flushed bright red. I have my picture with him from that day that I posted on my Facebook and all that. I was so out of it, and that I was flushed like bright red, and when you look at the picture, even though my hair was covering most of it, you can still see that I was flushed from it, and he was just grinning like, God, that was embarrassing. Even though it's controversial, one of my favorite movies is a Serbian film. I thought, well, it's more of, instead of the shock factor that they tried doing with it, I was a huge fan of it because I liked the fact that it was pushing boundaries. I enjoy any movie that tries to push the boundaries between what they're presenting and the expectations of society. Like, I love a lot of banned controversial movies because, well, they are always played so seriously, like you're supposed to. If you chicken out of it, it's not going to have the same effect. And one of the things I really enjoyed about a Serbian film was the fact that everybody gave it their all to perform in. The performances were so great, and I think a lot of it was like a social commentary of Serbia, or at least I think that's what the directors said. But the director and writer was there at Days of the Dead, was there for his very first convention appearance, and I tried interviewing him. We don't really have footage because, well, we were still new to doing everything. But I was still amazed that he was there, and I chatted with him. He was right across the table from me being a drunk fangirl with William Zabka, laughing his ass off because, you know, goofy American girl that's super tiny, such a lightweight that she's slurring on her words trying to talk to William Zabka. I would have laughed too. I mean, let's face it, I'm a dumbass. Pretty funny that way. It's fun to laugh at me rather than with me. It was so strange because that was one of the things I remembered about that encounter, because he was so serious inside every picture I took. He was so serious during the interview I did with him. He doesn't smile inside any of his pictures. I've even like looked with other events that he had been in, and he just never smiles. Yet he was laughing his ass off at me. I mean, I was a mess, but I had fun. And I feel like that is pretty much all I could ask for when it comes to conventions. Another convention I went to was Long Beach Comic Con of the same year, and I finally got to meet my favorite Frank of all time. I know that sounds really dumb because my boyfriend's name is Frank. I stand by what I said. I got to meet Lance Henriksen. He was doing the convention, and when I first saw him, I asked if I can do an interview at a time. And my God, that man is so talented and so well spoken that I don't remember what the hell I was asking him. I was just so amazed and wanted to hear him talk more. It's like, I don't care what you're saying. Wait, what was he saying? I don't know, but I'd hear it again. And wow, I do not know how to use glitters. I should probably finish up what I was saying about him. He is amazing. He was actually doing like a little goodbye tour, so to speak, for his book called Not Bad for a Human. Highly recommend that book. I have been reading it for these past few years, especially with lockdown. And I swear, it's like every new thing I read about him, the more I admire him as an actor and person in general. Like, he was left to die in the middle of the desert at one point. Oh, yeah, I see why everybody makes complaints about glitters. I love glitters, so I don't care underneath it all. I was so grateful for that experience with Lance Henriksen that I actually got a copy of his book. He autographed it to me, and every time he does an autograph, he does a little signature and a quote saying, "We are a tribe." He is an advocate for Indigenous people and the Native American tribes, which I personally fell even more in love with him over, because one of the things inside my many mixed background is Native American. I am Mescalero with a touch of Marcello. And me being Native, it really made me want to learn more about my roots in general. Like, I've always been curious, but I feel like it really did just solidify that I want to learn more. He went on and on about pottery, and you know, I'm just now realizing I'm like talking about this amazing experience with Lance Henriksen. I have this video noted down inside my notes to make in a future video, yet here I am talking about him. I'm such a trash fangirl. Well, it's Lance Henriksen. I'm not that mad about it. I was doing embarrassing moments. I think it was the second or third time I met Tony Todd, was at that same convention. He was there for one of the days, and I felt so awkward. No, I didn't feel awkward at all. I loved talking to Tony Todd. I was hearing him talk. And if you don't know this, he has a stage background, theater background, and oh my god. I know we joke a lot about theater kids being these outcasts or whatever. I was a theater kid. So I think somebody I admire also in theater really, really made me so proud. Like, I mean, I was a theater kid in high school, but really fit into the stereotype. There was a lot of cliques and things inside the drama club that I was in. So I was mainly like the secretary. As always, I think my left eye is like way better than my right. I really don't know what I'm doing. I didn't feel awkward at the time when I was interviewing him, but then I showed my dad the footage. I did a little interview. I didn't realize how unprofessional I sounded. Who the hell says that? So unprofessional. My excuse when I was like looking back at it and trying to justify what I was saying, my excuse was I was young, much my first time there. Well, not my first time there. I think trying to do interviews for Crypt TV. I did not realize how unprofessional I sounded, but at the same time, it's like I was really young. Sure, I was technically an adult, but it was my first time really learning how to interview people. You know, trial and error. If you don't try it, you won't learn from it. You gotta not be afraid to fail flat on your face. And I'm trying to censor myself so I don't end up getting demonetized or something. It was one of my embarrassing moments. Another embarrassing moment at same convention. The legendary John Carpenter. He and his wife worked together a lot. And his wife happened to be there at that convention, and I tried interviewing her. We chatted, and we were both chatterboxes, getting along when the camera wasn't rolling. But once the camera started rolling, she got quiet and just let me talk. I mean, when I first thought about it, I was like, yeah, I don't mind talking, and I talk a lot inside all of my conversations in everyday life because I'm such a chatterbox. I was like, oh yeah, this is fine. Then I had no idea what the hell I was even asking her. I remembered that she was promoting a book or a comic called Asylum. I asked her about it, but I guess the sound wasn't exactly working, or maybe because it was loud there, because, you know, and it is so easy to just get drawn out with all of the noises. I made such a fool of myself. I asked her about like why it was called Asylum, and she gave me an answer, but I did not remember it. And she just let me talk myself into a pit. And afterwards, at one point, she's like, are you nervous? And I'm like, yes. And we laughed it off. And then we started again. And I did the exact same thing, just talking myself into a hole. It scarred me so much at the time that when I saw that she was gonna be at Dark Delicacies, probably one of my favorite stores ever, I saw that she was there because it was Women in Horror Month. I wanted to see her, but every time she was at an event, I felt so embarrassed that I didn't want to talk to her. And for a while, I did the same thing with Tony Todd. He's at like every convention I would go to. And he'd be right there, and I'd just be like, oh, so my sister's gonna start cooking in the background. Ignore that if it makes you uncomfortable, but what was I saying? I actually did the same thing with Tony Todd at conventions because he knew that I was with Crypt TV. I guess he enjoyed our interviews enough that he was like waiting to see if anything I did finally like got released. Things didn't work out with Crypt TV because I had to do it myself and I didn't have the software, didn't have a proper mic for the recordings. Really awkward. But because he recognized me at every convention we went to, I was ashamed and didn't want to be around him. God. Okay, if anybody actually knows a moisturizer that doesn't make my sensitive skin sting, let me know, because now all of my skincare products just make my face burn and I have no idea what's going on with it. Okay, I had to go get my fan because my skin is burning. Like it's in a mirror. Everything cute and horror, totally me. Anyway, God, I remember me talking about Tony Todd, but I have so many stories with him that it's like, Oh, where do I start? Shortly after when I interviewed Tony Todd, I guess I made such an impression that he actually like followed me on my Instagram, and I got scared. I was like, oh no, he's gonna get a bunch of my K-pop and personal life that has nothing to do with any of the horror stuff that I talked to him about. So I would like avoid him, and he was always there, and it was like I was hiding because I was ashamed that I couldn't actually put out the interview that I did with him. I seriously wish that if I can go back in time and saw my younger self, I wish I could like just slap her and be like, calm down, it is not that deep. What the hell is my... Never mind, I found it. Actually don't remember whether or not there are any other embarrassing moments that I've... Because I try not to think of the embarrassing stuff. I usually just be like, oh no, look at the bright side. These are great stuff. A little voice in my head saying, hey, remember that one time you made a fool of yourself? I wish I could shut that voice up. But then again, that's probably something we all have. Wow, I totally did that uneven. I guess Tony Todd and I have a nice enough relationship where he'll recognize me at conventions, kind of like how I was with Kane Hodder when I met him. Now he recognizes me as that girl that he met when I was a child at San Diego Comic-Con. Having the opportunity to like really just chat with people, it's one of the things that really spoils me about LA. I always felt really spoiled when it came to food, but I'm way more spoiled here in LA because we have so many conventions. There's always something going on in LA, and you can meet pretty much anybody you're a fan of. My dad, my sister, and I started at such a young age that it's like we have met so many celebrities that I almost forget just how lucky we are. I think the first convention I remember going to was GalacticCon in 2007. It was our little test convention before we went to San Diego Comic-Con. I think it was way more memorable than San Diego Comic-Con was, because San Diego Comic-Con was just so hard on my family. I didn't really take in anything. I remember like a few small things, but I don't remember like the overall experience. But going to GalacticCon, it was more intimate, and I mean, that was lucky enough to meet Billy West, and he did like pretty much more than half of the voices inside Futurama. What always stood out to me was the fact that we got to meet Anthony Stewart Head. Giles from Buffy. Started following him on social media, I realized he doesn't really do much convention-wise. Like, that is probably one of the biggest bragging rights I have. We got to meet Giles. Ha 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 ha, be jealous. Not really. For my mom's birthday at the time. He and his handler sang my mom happy birthday. She was practically wailing on my dad's arm. How dare you tell him that it's my birthday? Now I'm all embarrassed. When really, she would just complain, saying, I wanted to hear him sing it. Why was she singing it too? His handler. And I can hear my sister like in the background laughing about it. You know, I don't remember much of my encounter with him because I guess my mom's was just so memorable that I didn't even need to remember how I reacted to him. Maybe it was a good thing because I was so young, I probably did something super embarrassing. God, where's my fan? Oh, right here. It was on the chair next to me. I'm sweating up a storm under this ring light. Oh, Sid Haig, House of a Thousand Corpses, Devil's Rejects. Amazing guy. And I was lucky enough to do a short little interview with him at, I think it was Days of the Dead. I honestly didn't know what to expect out of it. He was such a laid-back guy about everything. I remember one of the questions that I asked everybody was like, what made you interested in working in horror movies? I always thought of it as, yeah, maybe they have a reason. Maybe they're like me and have... I asked him that question, and his answer was, it was a job, he got paid. Are working inside the legendary Rob Zombie, one of a kind. With how crazy you have to act, you would think maybe they just always wanted to act that crazy of a character and they finally had the perfect opportunity, or maybe they were always a huge fan and just had to keep going and keep working with them. I didn't know how to react to that. I was starstruck and nervous as hell to where even he noticed and called me out on it. I guess he just threw me off with his answers because I was expecting like some profound answer and something that would make me think, and maybe I could make follow-up questions to. He literally said, "Sis, it's for a track." He was always such a laid-back guy. Like, he wasn't uppity or anything. He was never trying to be anything he wasn't. He was just like, I'm getting paid for it, why not? It really hurt me when he passed, because one of the things that I'm pretty vocal about in the industry is that I'm not exactly a Rob Zombie fan. And even if I wasn't a Rob Zombie fan, I was always a fan of Sid Haig because he always portrayed characters so uniquely. And I felt like his characters were the most memorable ones. So I was just starstruck at the fact that it's like, wow, one person I actually like in these movies. I know that sounds like really bad, but he was just that unique to me that I was so happy that he was there. I don't know if what I have on my face is texture. I am so confused with my skin. So Sid Haig, I made a fool of myself there. Felt like I made a fool of myself was during LA Comic-Con. What the hell? Now it literally looks like I just have shit on my face. Like, what the hell did I just do to my poor nose? LA Comic-Con. They had a few drag queens there. One I really wanted to meet was Alaska. It was great, but I felt so badly starstruck that I was slurring on my words. My voice kind of went out. I bought a t-shirt of her and I wanted to get it signed. And she asked who to personalize it to. And it's like, I forgot my own name. She was really kind and patient with us. I was really grateful for that. Hi, Mom.
Hi.
Dad, do you remember any other times that were quote-unquote embarrassing?
We were actually pretty good about being around celebrities. I had to teach you guys that early on because that's just kind of a thing in our lives.
Most part, we're careful. I'm just gonna let this go ahead and run. I will edit some stuff out. I don't think the mic is gonna pick anything up while everything's going on in the background. His Majesty. Is His Majesty over here?
Sprinkles of Lancaster.
Lord Sprinkles. Where's Cujo?
Right there.
I have a puppy, and he is the cutest thing, but he is so sassy with so much attitude despite his small size. I feel like because we started going to conventions at such a young age, he pretty much taught us how to see them as normal people and just not get starstruck and make a fool of ourselves. Although sometimes I made a fool of myself anyway because I'm a damned fool. You've known me for any time of my life. I have always wanted to be an actress, and a lot of that requires networking.
You are, Your Majesty.
Thank you. You're so sweet. Sweet baby Cujo.
He's mad because he wouldn't let him be in the towels.
He sleeps in the towels.
He likes to be on top of the towels. I told your mom, don't let him get in the basket because
Yes,
we'll have to carry him around in the basket with the towels.
We've already got him a stroller. We don't need that.
Give it to him a carrier.
Anyway, another thing that my puppy likes doing is getting in my lap when I'm doing my makeup or if I'm doing my nail stuff. Like, he likes to get between me and my work desk. And then every now and then he does the same thing with my laptop. If I'm doing something on my laptop, he will get between me and my laptop so I can't push anything. And now he just wants to be pet. So I think I might have to pause this real quick while I finish the rest of my makeup. So my camera ended up overheating. I'm probably going to continue to share my knowledge about convention circuit so that when conventions open up again, that everybody goes and is able to have the best time. Maybe one day I will make a series of videos where I actually talk about the good experiences I've had inside conventions, because I really am grateful for our community, especially with Crypt TV. So definitely check them out, and I will post a link to Crypt TV because I really do want you guys to check them out. And Dark Delicacies, I will definitely give you guys a link to their website because they have a new location now in Burbank, and it's definitely worth checking out. And maybe an affiliate code that I have, so in case you do want to check that out and whatnot. Yeah, anyway, Screen Princess out.